With that, I only have one remaining witness. I want to make sure I spell this correctly. Chair calls Mr. Adam, is it Kahn?
Yes.
Kahn, I said that right. Okay, good. Mr. Adam Kahn, would you please step forward to the microphone? Mr. Kahn, if you would, state your name, whom you represent, and 3 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Kahn.
My name is Adam Kahn, C-A-H-N. I blog at the website Kahnman's Musings. I think a number of you are fairly familiar. He who covers his sins shall not prosper. I think I've never quite seen an example in all the decades I've been following politics of the fix being in quite as much as I see on this one. It's pretty obvious that these nominations can't be stopped, so I will simply be brief and state my case. Let's not kid ourselves. We all know why these nominations are being fast-tracked. It's because Wallace Hall has a case in front of the Texas Supreme Court, and certain powerful interests in this state want him off of the Board of Regents before the Supreme Court has an opportunity to rule in that case. That's the only reason these nominations have been fast-tracked. That's the only reason we're here today. Now, there are a lot of examples of poor actions that the University of Texas has taken during Regent Hall's time on the board. A small example would be a forgivable loan slush fund that was subsequently covered up, a $215 million accounting scandal that forced the university to restate their financials in 2012. Obviously, the admissions scandal that we have alluded to this morning. In 2012, they passed a tax increase to fund their medical school when they have a $25 billion endowment. Obviously, last fall, as a couple of you have alluded to, they raised tuition shortly after the legislature left town, at a time right after the legislature approved tuition revenue bonds, which, by the way, they were discussing the tuition increase during the tuition revenue bonds discussion. Beyond that, couple months ago, we discovered that UT Austin was literally allowing solid waste to be pumped into the water supply in Shoal Creek. It was a KXAN investigation. Don't take my word for it. I believe it was in October 2016. And when it comes to the campus carry law that the legislature passed last session, without getting excessively specific or excessively graphic, I think we all remember the protests that were voiced in response to that. Now, here we are. This is clearly, the fix is in. Clearly, the Senate is going to vote to confirm these nominations. Clearly, it can't be stopped. But I would just encourage you, Senator Birdwell, I don't know if you remember this, but 2 summers ago at June of 2015 at the Texas Republican Assembly Convention, I told you that when you confirmed the last round of regents, they would do 2 things. They would raise tuition and they would gut the campus carry law. Both of those things happened. I'm just going to say that if you confirm these regents and if you give the University of Texas system a green light, which is what confirming these regents is tantamount to, two, possibly 3 more things are going to happen. They're going to raise tuition again. The political correctness and the culture of what is commonly referred to in the media as snowflakes being triggered, that's going to get a lot worse. And while I have no specific knowledge, something about the situation under which the CEO of UTIMCO resigned last year just doesn't sit right, and there could be other shoes to drop on that. So I will simply say, don't appeal to principle, don't appeal to abstract, talk about someone's self-interest. If I were in your position, looking out at what is likely to come if these regents are confirmed, I know that I would not want to vote for that, and I would not want to own what will come out of the University of Texas system over the next year and a half if the legislature allows this to go forward. And if I may just anticipate one more thing before.
Mr. Cohen, let me ask that, please. We're already at about 4.5 minutes.
So okay.
I want to be gracious to you, but I'd like you to go ahead and bring your testimony.
Okay, the one other thing that I'll say.
Hold on a second. I want you to bring your testimony to close so that if any members wish to ask questions, they may.
Okay. The one other objection that I would like to anticipate and respond is that if you think that they're going to faithfully implement laws passed by the legislature, look at what they did with campus carry. I mean, that was your bill, Senator Birdwell, and you saw what they did with that last year. And I know that you were very displeased with that process. That's going to happen again and again and again and again unless, if what is the writing clearly seems to be on the wall about is allowed to continue.
Thank you, members, thank you, Mr. Cohn. Members, questions of the witness? Senator Taylor, you look like you were about to, okay, no. Thank you, Mr. Cohn, for joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to come out and be a part of your state government.
All right.
Thank you, sir.